the Grand Canyon. One of America's most spectacular natural wonders. A canyon 18 miles across at its widest point, 277 miles long, and more than a mile deep. It is so vast that it can even be seen from space. Just how did the Colorado River, only a tenth the size of the Mississippi, form such a large canyon? The answer has eluded scientists for more than a century. From 1.7 billion years ago to 70 million years ago, the landscape of western Arizona has undergone a series of extraordinary changes. Ancient mountains have given way to prehistoric seas, which have withdrawn to reveal a low-lying flat plain stretching as far as the eye can see. The magnificent gorge of the Grand Canyon does not yet exist. But over the next 20 million years, this landscape was to undergo immense changes that would create a unique high plateau and set the scene for the formation of the canyon. Geologists discovered in the 1960s that collisions between separate plates of the Earth's crust could force land up into the air. It happens all over the globe and usually deforms the land into tilted mountain ranges. But this Arizona uplift was unique.
After all the flat layers are deposited at sea level, there was a major uplift event called the Laramide orogeny, which lifted these rocks without tilting them, still flat, lifted them up to high elevation.
Because the land rose straight up, like being in an elevator, it formed a high, smooth plateau. The sea that had been there drained back toward the northeast. It's essential for the investigation to establish when the Colorado River in particular arrived, because only then could it begin to carve the canyon. The Grand Canyon was born a mere 5.5 million years ago. The investigation has reached a significant milestone. It has discovered the age of the canyon.
Different ideas associated with the Grand Canyon, and was just blown away when I found out we did not understand how the Grand Canyon formed. Something as iconic as the Grand Canyon wasn't understood, just seemed crazy to me, and so basically decided to dedicate a large portion of my life to trying to figure it out.
Douglas's experiment proves that the spillover theory works in miniature, but he needs evidence to show that it could have happened on an infinitely bigger scale. Douglas sets out in search of a lake large enough and old enough to be the source of his spillover flood. And that shows that Lake Bittahoche once spread over 20,000 square miles and contained more than 3,000 cubic miles of water. That makes it bigger than Lake Michigan.
And the rate of canyon cutting here is about 1,000 feet per million years.
That's 1 foot in every 1,000 years, a little more than 1 inch every century. It proves that the entire 5,300-foot deep Grand Canyon could have been cut in a little more than 5 million years. In geological terms, the mere blink of an eye. Just 5.5 million years ago, the Grand Canyon was cut through this plateau. It happened so fast that geologists had to think again about the awesome power of the Colorado River. 5.5 million years ago, the Colorado River was flowing over the steep edge of the plateau that had been pushed up thousands of feet above sea level. The river ran rapidly over the steep downward slope and swept rough, rocky debris along in its wake. An incision formed, digging back into the edge of the plateau.
The power of the river to incise as it dropped off that huge escarpment must have been really great. And so the river quickly incised there. And that very steep drop-off of incision would have worked its way back upstream through the Grand Canyon region. It's sort of a waterfall that a few million years later has spread itself out through the length of the river.
It is this steep drop-off between the Colorado Plateau and the land beneath it that fuels the Colorado's incredible erosive power, studying the canyon since the mid-1800s. Yet even after more than a century of investigation, the story is still far from finished.
The landscape is evolving and it's going to be changing through the geological future. And so the story about the geology and the fascinating questions here is not one that's over, and it's going to continue to evolve as scientists continue to do work here.
The dynamic geological phenomenon of the Grand Canyon is a place where the vast fiery forces within the Earth's crust do battle with the inexorable power of water. The result? A natural wonder whose walls record nearly 2 billion years of our planet's turbulent geological history.